Have you ever watched someone's dignity get stomped on in public and felt your stomach twist? Picture this, a tired black single dad stands at a checkout counter after a double shift, holding the last of his cash, only for the manager to snatch his change and hurl every coin onto the dirty floor with a cold smirk. "Pick it up," the man says, loud enough for the whole store to hear. The father's face tightens. The air goes thick. And then, only minutes later, every person in that store freezes solid, because kindness showed up in a way none of them saw coming. If stories like this move you, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. This is Whispers of Heart 0.2, where we share the quiet moments that still have the power to change hearts. Marcus Thompson had been raising his two kids alone for 3 years. His wife passed after a short fight with illness, and every day since had been a careful balancing act between the warehouse job that started before sunrise and the evening shifts that kept the lights on. His daughter Aaliyah was 8, bright-eyed and full of questions. His son Jaden was 5 and still asked every night if Daddy was coming home before the cartoons ended. Marcus never made promises he couldn't keep. He just showed up, tired and steady, with whatever love he had left after the long hours. That Friday evening he stopped at the local grocery store on the way home. The list was short: milk, bread, a small pack of chicken, and the cheapest cereal the kids would still eat. He counted the bills in his wallet twice in the parking lot. $23 and some coins. It would be enough if nothing went wrong. The line moved slowly. An older woman in front of him struggled with a coupon the scanner refused to accept. Marcus waited without sighing. When his turn came, he placed the items on the belt and offered a quiet "evening" to the cashier. The manager, a tall man named Greg with a name tag that looked freshly polished, stepped in to help when the register beeped over a price check. Marcus handed over a 20 and a 5. Greg took the money, rang everything up, and then, instead of placing the change in Marcus's open palm, he opened his hand high above the counter and let the coins scatter across the floor. Nickels, dimes, and a few pennies bounced and rolled under the counter and toward the next lane. The sound was small but sharp. Conversations nearby stopped. Greg's voice carried. "Pick it up." Marcus looked at the floor, then at the manager's face. He could feel the heat rising in his neck, the old familiar weight of being watched and measured. Aaliyah and Jaden were waiting in the car with a library book and a half-eaten apple. He thought about walking out and leaving the groceries. He thought about saying something sharp enough to cut the silence. Instead he knelt. One knee on the cold tile, then the other. He gathered the coins with quiet hands, not looking up, while the manager stood over him with arms crossed. A young woman in the next lane covered her mouth. An older man near the pharmacy shook his head. No one spoke. Marcus stood, brushed the dust from his jeans, and held the change out so the cashier could finish the transaction. His voice stayed level. "Thank you." He bagged the groceries himself. The plastic handles dug into his fingers as he turned toward the door. That should have been the end of it. A small, ugly moment that most people would carry home and try to forget. But the store had other plans. Near the exit, a little boy no older than Jaden had lost his grip on a carton of eggs. The carton hit the floor hard. Yellow yolks spread across the tile like a broken sun. The boy's mother, a woman in faded scrubs who looked like she had just finished a long hospital shift, stared at the mess with pure exhaustion. Her shoulders dropped. She started to apologize to no one in particular. Marcus stopped. He set his own bags down, walked over, and knelt again, this time without anyone ordering him to. He helped the boy gather the unbroken eggs and used a pack of napkins from a nearby display to clean what he could. The mother tried to wave him off, saying it was fine, she would handle it. Marcus simply smiled the same tired smile he gave his own kids when they spilled juice at the table. "It's just eggs," he said. "We've all had worse days." He reached into his pocket, counted out what was left of his change plus a few more dollars from the bills he had kept separate for gas, and handed them to the cashier at the nearest open register. "Another carton for them, please. And keep the rest for the cleaning." The mother protested, eyes shining. Marcus only nodded toward her son. "Kids need breakfast. Mine do too." Something shifted in the air. The young woman who had covered her mouth earlier stepped forward and quietly added a loaf of bread to the mother's order. The older man from the pharmacy aisle walked over with a small bottle of juice and placed it on the counter without a word. Another customer, a teenager in a school hoodie, offered to help mop the floor so the staff wouldn't have to. One by one, people who had watched Marcus on his knees minutes earlier began moving, not with speeches, not with anger, but with the simple decision to meet humiliation with something better. Greg the manager had followed Marcus toward the exit, still wearing the same tight expression. He opened his mouth, perhaps to complain about the mess or the interruption to store flow. Then he saw the growing circle of people around the egg spill, saw the quiet way strangers were covering the cost of a stranger's groceries, and saw Marcus standing in the middle of it all with the same calm face he had worn while picking up coins. Greg's words never came out. His jaw stayed open. The entire front of the store went still. Cashiers stopped scanning. Shoppers stopped walking. Even the background music seemed to fade under the weight of what was happening. No one yelled. No one demanded an apology. They just kept choosing kindness in small, practical ways until the mother's cart was fuller than it had been when she walked in, and the floor was clean, and Marcus's own bags were somehow heavier with extra items people had quietly slipped inside. Aaliyah's favorite fruit snacks. A small box of crayons for Jaden. A note written on the back of a receipt that simply said, "You're a good dad. Keep going." Marcus drove home in silence that night, the kids asleep in the back seat before they even left the parking lot. He told them later that the store had a special that day. He didn't tell them about the coins on the floor. He didn't need to. The next morning he found a folded $20 bill someone had tucked into the side pocket of one of the grocery bags, along with a short message, "For the next time the world tries to make you kneel, stand up for somebody else instead." Kindness does not always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives on a dirty grocery store floor after someone has tried to take your dignity and failed. It arrives in the decision to kneel a second time, not because you were ordered to, but because a child needed help and you still had enough left to give. That night the whole store froze because they witnessed something stronger than cruelty, a man who refused to let another person's smallness make him small. We live in a country full of tired people carrying more than their share. Single parents. Night shift workers. Folks counting coins before they walk into a store. The next time you see someone being treated like they are less, you do not need a speech. You only need to decide, in that exact moment, to be the person who adds rather than subtracts. Pay for the eggs. Pick up the bag. Look someone in the eye and remind them they still matter. Those quiet choices travel farther than we know. They turn ordinary aisles into places where dignity gets restored. They turn strangers into the reason someone makes it home with their head still high. So carry that with you. The world will keep handing out moments that try to push people down. Meet those moments with open hands. The freeze that comes after is not silence. It is recognition. It is the sound of ordinary hearts remembering what they are capable of when they choose kindness instead of looking away.